Hi, my name is Jalen Wigner, and I'm here with Cole Washala, and I'm here with Jason Sobolik.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how's everything going in the morning?
It was busy, always is. Luckily, I take without the orthodontist, so I didn't have to be here that early. So once I got over here, then you start figuring out what's the next problem you got to deal with.
Okay. I want to hear your thoughts because we got a new coach, new men's basketball coach. What do you?
The funny thing is, I have known Coach Kemp for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And so his second year at MSUM back in 2005 or whatever, I was coaching here at the same time.
Yeah.
And so for a year and a half, 2 years, we were actually roommates.
Oh, really?
So I know Coach Kemp very, very well. I think he's going to do great things with our program.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got his philosophy of how to play the game. His rapport with his players is outstanding. I mean, he will go bend over backwards for his players. He'll run through a brick wall for them. And I think because of how he does that, they're going to respond the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to this winter because knowing Coach Kemp the way I do, I want to see him be successful just because of our friendship. But I think he's going to play the game the right way. It's going to be exciting for the fans to watch. It's going to be a lot more up-tempo. We thought we played fast before.
Yeah.
He wants to play faster.
Oh.
And so, we'll see as he continues to get his players in here what that system will look like. They rehauled their whole team. They got a roster of 15 now, and I think there was 6 or 7 that was held over from the previous staff.
Mm-hmm.
So you got eight new players on there. So that's going to be the question: is how do we blend the old and the new together to make that cohesive unit? And talent alone is not going to win basketball games. Talent alone is not going to win any game for any sport. It's that chemistry, that cohesiveness. Is the locker room together? Is it divided? There's been teams here who have so much talent who hasn't been successful because the locker room has been divided.
Mm-hmm.
There's been teams who have less talent, but because it's a tight-knit locker room, they've been able to achieve great things. And so you look at talent alone is not going to win you games. It's what happens behind the scenes in the locker room. How close is that team that really, really determines the success of those seasons.
Right. For your job, it's assistant athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
What's your duties for that job?
So basically, I'm the liaison between MSUM and the NCAA.
Okay.
And so what I tell our athletes is I'm the one who's going to educate, monitor, and enforce NCAA rules.
Okay.
Kind of the school principal. So when you get called into the office, you're like, what did I do wrong? So I never have a great report sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, if I get called in, what did I do wrong? But it's really more about educating the athletes of the rules, monitoring them to make sure we're following them. And if there's a slip or a violation, then we report that and then try to get it back in good standing with the NCAA.
So if a student athlete gets an F in a class or has many absences, you just email them and call them down. And
it's not as much as that per se, because they're gonna miss classes, they're going to fail classes. It's making sure that at the end of each grading period, did they pass the 9 hours that are required by the NCAA? Did they pass 24 hours during the whole academic year? Did they have a 2.0 GPA? So those types of things. But I'll also serve as that kind of like that X factor advisor, and so I don't really advise them, but I can verify their schedule. Hey, these classes you're taking are going to help you be eligible, or you're not taking the right classes to be eligible. So I'll kind of monitor and review their class schedules, especially this time when they're starting to meet their advisors for academic advising stuff, and then registration. It's hey, this schedule looks good. You'll be on track to be eligible as long as you pass everything, or only these classes go towards eligibility. These classes do not, so you may want to make some changes. So
that whole process, how long does it usually take? A week to contact?
It's each one's a little bit different.
Okay.
There are those who are preemptive and do it before they have their meeting, and then there are those who are reactive and do it after their meeting. So if for the next 6 to 8 weeks, that could be inundated with lots of meetings. They take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not too much. With the way the rules are and the exceptions, freshmen, sophomores, anything they take is going to count towards eligibility.
Okay.
It's the upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors, they have to be degree applicable credits. And so those are the ones who I spend more time with.
Yeah.
there's become with all of the changes happening at the NCAA, with all the different lawsuits, they're becoming a lot more lax in, not say lax, but they're giving a lot more autonomy to the schools to follow rules and to allow for exceptions to different rules.
When you say lawsuits, what happened?
So years ago, Ed O'Bannon was a basketball player at UCLA, and so he ended up suing the NCAA over name, image, and likeness because EA Sports put his name or his image of him playing in a blue and gold jersey, no UCLA on there, but it was his image on the cover of a video game.
Yeah.
He was getting no proceeds from the sale of those video games, so he thought, that's not right. You're using my image. I should get some kind of compensation.
Yeah.
So he ended up suing the NCAA, and at the end of the day, he ended up winning his lawsuit.
Oh.
So the use of student athletes' name, image, and likeness became the world of what we live in now as NIL. Some of the other different lawsuits that are going on deal with eligibility. One individual, last name of Pavia, who plays football at Vanderbilt, sued the NCAA last year, saying that his junior college year should not count towards his 4 years of NCAA eligibility because that those years now limit how much time he gets to play at Vanderbilt. And with the Division I NIL landscape, where they're getting 5 and 6 and potentially 7-figure NIL deals, he's losing out on opportunities to monetize his name, image, and likeness. All of that kind of came back from a Supreme Court decision that allows athletes to, they still can't put all these limits on them. And so now with the NIL piece, they're almost treated as professionals, as employees, and that's kind of been the next go-round of that. And a lot of the lawsuits that are happening deal with eligibility as well as Sherman antitrust laws because of the monopoly that the NCAA had before, saying if you're going to allow them to make money, you now lose your antitrust exemptions. And so that's opened up a whole new can of worms. And I'm not overly well versed in the Sherman antitrust law, but it's creating a lot more court cases for the NCAA to deal with. And so that's where you're seeing more. That's where the House settlement that just got taken care of this past summer was a class action lawsuit by a group of athletes suing the NCAA over name, image, and likeness. And then the settlement should alleviate some of the antitrust laws that are being questioned in the courts. My wannabe lawyer skills have kind of gone on overdrive this past summer, just trying to read all these from court cases and just trying to educate myself as much as possible. But in a different life, I should have been a lawyer because it's so fascinating to read all this kind of stuff.
A lot of the examples you were talking about was Division I. Are there a lot that the things that are different between the really high major programs of Division I and then the MSUM in a smaller market and stuff like that? Are there big differences between those two? And
a lot of the NIL deals at the Division I level are more about pay for play, and that's where the NIL space is not really designed for that. It's you do something and get compensated for doing X. Commercial, you look at back when Caleb Williams was at USC, he appeared in Dr. Pepper commercials. Caitlin Clark, when she was at Iowa, she was appearing in State Farm commercials. She's getting paid for her name, her image, her likeness in these commercials and doing something for that. Now, you come to school X and we'll give you 6 figures, and you may post something on social media, not really what the true NIL sense is. And so that's where you see a lot of discrepancies over what is a true NIL deal. And so it's quid pro quo. You do something, you get something in return. But a lot are questioning, does quarterback X, who's making $1 million, what is he actually doing to get his NIL? Utah football, the whole football team at one point got new trucks. Everyone on the team got a truck, but what do they do to actually earn that truck? So that's where some of the stuff is more pay for play, which is banned by the NCAA, versus what under the guise of an NIL deal. So that's kind of where we're at. The House settlement now, there is a centralized governing body that will review every NIL deal over $600 to verify that it is actually a legit deal and that the athletes are getting paid fair market value, which creates a different question of how do you define fair market value. If I think you're worth this, that's my fair market value. So it's really hard to define what is a fair market value.
I know we have that at MSUM. We have that shop, that NIL athletic shop.
Yep.
Is that something that is available to all athletes regardless of sport? Is that something that's more directed towards, maybe football or basketball? Or do all athletes, I guess, is kind of the question, do all of any, even like, the sports like a tennis or soccer and stuff, do they all have equal access to certain NIL opportunities?
Yep, every sport has access to any NIL opportunity. It just comes down to how much you really want to do. The one group that really struggles with NIL space due to immigration laws is the international student athletes.
Okay.
And so right now, any NIL compensation for an international student athlete in the U.S. could potentially have any I-9 visa impact. So they could potentially lose their visa status in the U.S. International student athletes can do what they call passive NIL, meaning they don't do any work to get the money. They just, reap the benefits. So, like you're talking about the athlete thread link, if they have a clothing store or a clothing thing online, the link is out there.
Yeah.
If you find it, you can partake in that, so they're not really actively pursuing it versus doing a commercial or doing a camp or a clinic and those types of things. International students can do NILs back in their home country as long as their feet are on the soil in their home country and they get paid for doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So that group is a little limited in what they can do in the U.S. for that. On our campus, every athlete has the ability, if they so desire, to sign up with Athlete Thread to create their own customizable store of merchandise. The one thing that is limited with Athlete Thread is the sale of jerseys with your name and number on the back is only limited to football, there's basketballs, volleyball, soccer, and softball. Track doesn't really have track, tennis, golf, they don't really have jerseys with numbers and names on them.
Right.
But they can still buy T-shirts, sweatshirts with their last name on the back. So all the clothing items in Athlete Thread is all customizable and available to anybody that has the link to those student athletes. I believe last I checked, 12 of our 14 sports had somebody who has an NIL store. Track does, tennis does, golf does. So they have at least one athlete on there. We've close to now $10,000 in total sales in the last 6 weeks that we've had the stores opened. It's a great opportunity for our student athletes to work on brand recognition. They can kind of create their own customizable brand, get their name out there, and on the same side, get a little cash on the side. They're not going to be rich. They're not going to make a ton of money on this, but they're getting anywhere from 10 to 15 to 25% commission on their sales. The more they sell, the bigger their commission. So it's spending money. It's a chance to go out to dinner, once a month, type of thing. But they're getting paid, and talking to one of our athletes, they get the money directly deposited into their account. And so some said, yeah, I've already got my first check from Athlete Thread for my parents buying a T-shirt or a jersey or whatever the case may be.
That whole process of opening the NIL store at MSUM, how did it work?
So I was at a conference this summer and just kind of walking through the exhibit hall, and there's two main companies that do online merchandise stores for NIL. Mm-hmm. One guy kind of walked up to me and saw my logo and said, "Hey, we got some of your athletes doing this NIL store." I'm like, "Well, no, you don't," and because I would know that. And,
yeah.
He pulls up the list and he's like, "There's 2 or 3 athletes who signed up for their store," and then I said, let's have a deeper conversation. So I came back from a conference. We had a conversation, a little Zoom meeting, and they kind of explained what they do. There is no commitment from MSUM to this company. It's all, we're kind of the introducer to the athlete to the company, and the athlete, if they so desire, can go ahead and sign up with them or not. Our athletes can sign up for either one of the 2 companies. It's non-exclusive, so they can go ahead and pick and choose what they want to do. If they want to do both, they can do both. And so once we were talking to company 1, I saw that MSU Mankato had signed or had an agreement with Athlete Thread, and so then I reached out to them and said, hey, what's the difference? So then we met with Athlete Thread as well, and they had a little bit more incentives for us to sign up with them, and so that's why we picked Athlete Thread. Started that process early July. Went through just the review of stuff like that and understanding what the contract's going to say. And then about August 5th or 6th, right when football reported for fall camp, we let them know that the store is now available. They kind of created this mock-up of the different jerseys that we have available. We sent Athlete Thread the actual jerseys, or the mock-ups of the actual jerseys that our athletes wear, and they replicated those onto the store.
Okay.
And so that was that conversation, and now we just continue to push the athletes, saying, if you want to sign up for it, that you go ahead and do so. The athletic department does get 12. We have the athlete thread has to go through CLC process to get the use of the logo. If it says trademarked logo, so we do get 12% royalties on every Dragon logo that's being sold. So the athletic department actually does get some money from it. The athletes get some money from it, and Athlete Thread gets some money from it. So we all kind of win out at the end.
Do you know of any current athletes? You don't obviously need to name names or anything. Do any athletes at MSUM have any brand NIL deals with some big well-known companies, such as just in Moorhead, in the Fargo area? Do you know of any athletes that have any deals currently?
Nothing as far as name recognition goes. I actually there was one athlete who did sign an NIL deal. It's more of a social media piece, but if the individual goes to a local golf establishment, I won't name names, a local golf establishment, and posts. Puts social media posts out there of them being at this establishment. They were getting hourly sessions at the golf place, swag, those types of things. So it's more of a, you're getting time, or you're getting kind of some kind of swag and product. We've had other athletes who have signed NIL deals back home, doing commercial spots. And one in particular was getting $100 a month. They did 2 or 3 radio spots over the summer. They use out throughout the year, and for a 9-month window, they're getting paid $100 a month as compensation. Athletes can go ahead and they can run their own camp or clinic if they wanted to. They can go back to their hometowns in the summertime, run a basketball camp or a football camp, where in years past they couldn't do that. So a lot of things they can actually do. We would even allow our athletes to run a camp here, but if they did that, they would have to rent the facility, provide insurance, and same thing that any outside vendor would have to do if they wanted to use our facility. So they don't get any kind of special treatment to utilize NEMSIC, but if they wanted to do a camp here, they could, but as long as they rented the facility, did their own marketing, more advertising, and did all those costs up front, and they can go ahead and reap all the benefits of their own camp on campus. Athlete Thread is the name of the company, so athletethread.com is where they would go. They would basically create that login. We have created a referral incentive for athletes to sign up, and if they use the referral code, then our Student Athlete Advisory Committee will get a finder's fee for that referral. So it's a chance for our Student Athlete Advisory Committee to get a little bit of money to help with our programming for our student athletes. So for every athlete that signs up with that referral code, SAC gets some money from it.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
So that was the incentive really to get us to go to Athlete Thread, is they would create a finder's fee for our Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So for every athlete that signs up, $20 goes to SAC, and then they create. They fill out a questionnaire with their jersey number, sport, that kind of stuff, and then within 48 hours, Athlete Thread will make that store. The neat thing with Athlete Thread for our athletes is it's a chance for them to tell their story, to create their own brand. When I was talking to the CEO this summer, he said that a Gopher football player last year, he gets the game-winning catch in the end zone, a great catch as time winding down. Well, their game day people caught that picture of him in the end zone with the ball, making the outstretched hands. They take that picture, he puts it on a T-shirt, saying, "I want that T-shirt in my store."
Yeah.
And so there's a great photo that our athletes have of an action shot. They can send that photo to Athlete Thread, and they'll do that caricature of that shirt, of that picture, onto a shirt or a sweatshirt or T-shirt, or whatever the case may be. And so it's very customizable. It's very, very much where the athlete can go ahead and tell their story of how they want. There's a group of senior linemen who want to go ahead and put themselves together on a shirt with their caricatures. They can go ahead and send that picture off to Athlete Thread, and they'll make that shirt that they can go ahead and sell. I saw a picture of a UConn men's basketball player who must have been from California riding a surfboard on a wave that appeared on a T-shirt. So again, it's a chance to build your own brand.
Yeah.
And do so in a clothing merchandise type of way.
Okay, cool. Is there any more, I kind of want to know more of the shady NIL
if you, I'll date myself here, but back in the day, Blue Chips was a movie that had some famous athletes in it. It was a fictional story of college athletes in this basketball program where all of a sudden, if you sign my place, you know, a farm kid dad got a new truck the day that the student athlete signed with this fictional university. But some of the underhanded signings, all of a sudden a bag of cash would show up on a doorstep after a signing period. There was a huge issue with Adidas and men's college basketball a number of years ago where runners for Adidas were working with different AAU programs trying to get those athletes to sign with Adidas, and if they would do so, they would get some money under the table. And so coaches got themselves fired because of that relationship, and that again was a precursor to all this NIL stuff that was going on because shoe companies wanted to sign the next up-and-coming person before they got to the NBA, and then lock in that deal to create that next brand of shoes, you know, whatever that case may be. But that was going on. Adidas got in trouble for that. Nike must have been smarter because they never got caught. But we know that the main shoe companies are having some kind of those behind-the-scene deals and conversations before those athletes turn pro.
I'm learning a lot of new things. I guess my other one question I was really wondering about before we close everything up, what do you see as like the future of NIL? I guess do you think do you have any idea in 10 years what NIL might look like? Are we gonna have massive pages of different types of merchandise? Do you see anything happening in the future that's different than it is now?
The one nice thing with NIL is it's so adaptive, it's so creative. I mean, when you look at an athlete thread store where you can go ahead and brand yourself and put merchandise out there with your name, your image, your likeness on there. I think you're going to see more athletes doing those commercials, more athletes doing promotional spots, autograph sessions. Local car dealership wants to go ahead and bring so-and-so down for a Saturday when they're having a big sale. Come down and meet Bobby as you're looking for a car, and make those appearance fees for athletes. I think with the House settlement for sure the next 10 years, the NIL space is going to be well regulated. You have the clearinghouse that goes through all NIL deals. So I think you're going to start seeing what true NIL deals are supposed to be, what the intent was back in 2021 when it first came legal, before people got, as with anything else, you have a rule, how do I get around that rule was that mindset back then 4 years ago. So it became the wild, wild west because people said, well, it doesn't say we can't do that, so let's do that instead. And so now we're creating more guardrails on NIL space. And so I think these next few years, you'll see that what the true definition is of compensating an athlete for their name, for their likeness, in commercials, in public appearances, in camps, clinics, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to see those $1 million deals, I think, go away.
Okay. This is actually off-topic question, but have you been to any of the football games, volleyball games?
Been to a few already so far. We had 2 football games so far. We've had our first volleyball weekend was last weekend, so I have been to the games. I swear I did see one football player's name and number on the back of his shirt. I just wasn't sure if it came from like the hometown store, if mom and dad did it that way, or if it came through Athlete Thread. So I don't know. I do have access to a Google Drive from Athlete Thread that lists how many sports we have, how much each sport has raised so far.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if it does not go as far as the name of the individuals who sold things right now. But we can see that the football team's accounts have raised this much money or whatever the case may be. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now it doesn't go to our football team, but we have football players who are making compensation for stuff that they're selling. Same with basketball players. Like I said, we probably have almost $10,000 in merchandise that's been purchased under the names of our athletes in Athlete Thread. So, 15% commission on $10,000 goes to our athletes.
We'll just end it here. Thank you for being here and so many interesting stories and
Thank you for
so
having
many
me.
facts. I'll just end it right there.